Come and take a
Thank you for taking a ride on the Freedom Train podcast series. I am your host, Joseph Ford, and as always, ride with me is my good homie, Mr. Patrick Irvin. Remember, the Freedom Train is brought to you by PAX Inc., that's PACTSINC, and PAX Inc. is a black development organization aimed at developing the black community to its maximum potential through a focus on education and economics with a trace of hard work, honesty, and integrity. For more information, make sure you visit the website at www.pactsinc.org. That way you can click on all the different tabs. The one that says the code. If you hover the mouse over it, it has a drop-down box that says calendars. There's an about page where it's contact, PAX family, PAX frequently asked questions. You can learn more about being a member or a donor. You can get involved in the spending, the situational assistance surveys, Learning Center, and more. Just visit PACTSINC.org. Also visit our Freedom Train website at www.freedomtrainradio.com. That way you can keep up with everything that we got going on over here with the Freedom Train. Of course, you know our weekly lineup. I ain't going to go through the weekly lineup today, but make sure you visit the website, www.freedomtrainradio.com. That way you can stay focused and abreast and up to date on everything that we got going on with the Freedom Train. And of course, you know you can follow us on social media, Twitter at Freedom Train Net, Instagram Freedom Train Network, on our Freedom Train Network YouTube channel, Freedom Train Network, on Facebook, of course, you know, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. We out here, so do what you got to do to stay in touch with the Freedom Train Network, because we putting it down, and we are the premier source of media for Black America. You know, the Freedom Train, radio designed to free your mind. That's how we get down. Pat.
What up?
What it look like?
Two gay swans getting kicked out of their habitat because they bit one of the trainers for trying to remove a styrofoam cup out of their nest that they had adopted as their egg. That's what it looks like.
Was it two males or two females?
It was two males.
Okay. Well, you know, they got a right to protect their own. So, man, I ain't mad at it. Go down though. Man, what you got into this weekend? This past weekend, what you got into?
Nothing. Got some pictures taken. Went for a couple walks.
Okay.
Got some
y'all went to
business
Sears and got
taken care
some
of.
pictures taken at Sears.
Nah. Some black dude met us at at some lake park type place here in Charlotte, and he just, we walked up and down. Me and my wife walked up and down and took pictures. So
that's what's up. You know, make it last forever. That's the y'all.
You got the throat to hit that high note right now.
Hey man, it's all good, bro. You know, some of us got these vocal gifts, some of us don't.
Whatever. Damn duck.
It's the same backup for Prince.
What's the show today on, man? You tripping?
Hey, dog. I'm helping to help make sure we develop our relationship as two black men in America, and you trying to thwart that process. You know what I'm talking about? But shoot,
UNITY, that spells.
That's for unity. Yeah, but today we're going to talk about a couple of different things. We got 3 topics on the table. First, we're going to dive deep into why white people call the police on black people. Why white people keep calling the police on black people. That get into economics, and you and I having a conversation, and you're going to lead the economics conversation about ideas and thoughts of the upcoming recession and what we need to do to prepare ourselves, as well as the 4th of July weekend, and what that means to us as black people, and just how do we spend the 4th of July as black people in America, knowing that we wasn't free when the actual 4th of July actually happened and all those things. So we're going to dive into them topics. and make it happen. You know what I'm talking about? Is you ready?
I think so.
You sure?
Uh,
You got your digger's hat on with the light on the front, like a miner, coal miner.
nah, because coal miners support Donald J. Trump.
Oh,
So
well,
I had to,
Trump, man. Fuck
yeah, I
Donald
had to
Trump.
take my hat out back and bury
Fuck
it.
Donald Trump. Hey, that song was hard though. Fuck Donald Trump. That beat was live.
The beat was live.
I like white folk, but I don't like you. Everybody in the hood want to fight you. That's a funny opening line. Donald Trump probably listened to that song, Kurt walking across his house. Fuck me. Fuck me.
Funny, he had to put out a disclaimer, I like white people.
Yeah. I like white folk, but I don't like you. Like, you didn't have to say that. But.
Right. You get it. I think.
Hey, man, it go down, though. So, man, let's talk about these white folk calling the police on us black folk, man. Let's dive deep into this one, man. Let's put on some scuba gear, man, and get deep up in this one.
Word is born. Who, kid? You. Down. That was our transition.
All right. Who that? DJ Khaled?
I don't know. It's DJ somebody.
There it is. Shout out to DJ Switch, though.
Yeah. Hey, you saw that? Yeah, she was getting it.
I know, like little DJ Switch. I forgot what country she in and all that.
It was in Nigeria, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But shout out to DJ Switch, though. That's all I know.
Yeah, she gonna be a gynecologist when her grow up.
And also a world-renowned musician. So.
Hey, is spinning records? Is that are you a musician? If you.
Well, she made a song.
Oh, that's right. She did say she played a bunch of instruments.
Yeah, she made a song. So her and her mom made a song.
That was her mom in the video?
Yeah, singing.
Oh.
Yeah, so DJ, hey man, she got skills, man.
She got a hip hop face too. Every time she said her name, face got all twisted up. She was all hard with it. DJ Switch.
Suckers. She wanted to cuss, but she ain't old enough. So.
It's like, yeah. DJ Switch, fool.
Already like spaghetti and confetti.
Change the name to DJ Switchblade. Start cutting people.
I guess.
All right, what we got? So what's up? The white folk.
The white folk calling the police on black folk.
I like white folk, but I don't like you. I'm sorry.
Everybody in the hood. But so now I made a video on my own the Shows of Giants YouTube channel. Go check it out. YouTube.com/on the Shoulders One. Well, I kind of went into it, but I think we can dive deep into it because on my video I was talking about how, you know, basically my thing is white folk calling the police on black folk because they want us killed. And when we don't do what they tell them to do, they get mad and they want to put us in our place. And they call the only people who can put us in our place is the police. Mm-hmm. What you think?
I mean, I think, you know, like Professor Carl Tone Jones talked about this on his show Office Hours this past week. Get the app, check out Freedom Train website, you'll find it. I think it ain't nothing new, man. I mean, white folk calling the cops on black folk to teach black folk a lesson has been going on since the cops were created. I mean, you know, some people could very, very rightfully argue that, you know, that's one of the purposes of the police. That's like one of the purposes of them being created, was to call them whenever black folk got out of line.
Right. Yeah, especially like, you know, the genesis of it was to put the slaves back on the plantation.
So And it's something that's been going on. Like, it's something that never stopped. Like, we know about the national cases, but, there are a lot of local cases going on that aren't getting national spotlight. Here in Charlotte, there's a young man who was out with his friends at Steak and Shake. And right after they finished paying for their food, the manager called the cops on them saying that they didn't pay for their food, even though they had a receipt. So, it's 3 black boys in the group. So, we're all talking about like the Permit Patties, who Permit Patty said that she wasn't really calling the cops, she was just joking, which makes it worse if you think about it.
But even in her case, like you had Permit Patty,
right?
Then you had a story about the other day about the little boy and his friends who go around cutting grass, and the people called the police on him. He was like 12. So, they're killing on one end, police interaction, all these other things we happen. White folk are killing kids, calling the cops on kids. They see us from young to old as a threat, and we need to wake the hell up to that. That's what I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, and then again, like, because we keep getting caught up in this thing about racism's coming back, and like this is new, and they've never done this, and blah blah blah. Like this is where I get frustrated, because it's like if you look at their history, it's always been there. They've been doing this. Like, even you don't even have to look at the history. Go back and look at comedy sketches from black comedians from the 90s and the 80s. You'll find a lot of them talking about white folks calling the cops on black folks for no reasons, and black folk, the cops showing up and fucking black people up. Like, that was a regular comedy trope among black comedians. So again, it's like, I just don't understand. I mean, the ignorance is just astounding to me. That's just where I'm at with it. Like, and then not just the ignorance of the masses, because you don't really expect every single person to be up to date on what's going on historically, socially, culturally. I mean, I know it'd be nice if they will, but you just don't. But when I see like activists and advocates and all of these people that are supposed to be helping things get better being surprised by this, it's kind of like, like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, I'm with you on that, man. That gets me. It's like, how are you an activist and an advocate and this person out in the forefront doing all this screaming and yelling and all these things, and people are looking at you as a leader, but you also like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this. Why are white people doing this? Then you still going on CNN arguing with people about stuff that everybody already know what the hell happened and why it happened. Like, where are you in this process? Why are you so far in the infant stage in this process as an activist? Like, who gave you your platform?
Right. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm like, I mean, we see it. We know that it's been going on. We know that it ain't nothing new. We know this. But at the same time, it's like, how are these people who are supposed to be our spokespeople, our advocates, surprised by this? That means they're lacking in their history. I just don't. And then, like you said, to get on national TV and to try to go toe-to-toe with people who are doing this, and people who are supporting doing this, it's crazy to me. And I'm kind of beyond that stage where I'm going to be mad at white people for being white. Like, I'm just kind of, I'm past that. Like, now I'm just, every time a conversation comes up, I'm like, all right, black folk, what are we going to do about it? And why the fuck, well, first off, why the fuck are we surprised by it? After we get through that, what are we going to do about it? Because...
But to me, we still surprised because we still choose to remain ignorant, because we choose to think that our personal bubble is the only thing we need to worry about when everything around us is falling apart. And it's like, we choose to be ignorant, then we pass the ignorance down to the next generations, and then it's only a few of us who's in the know, But still, I said, it's think about how many people who were supposed to be conscious who really put their kids on what's going on.
Right.
You know,
And
they'll
that's
sit there
real
and
right
scream
there, what you
on
just said. That's real.
But think about it. They'll sit there and scream in your face on social media, all these different places all day, complain all day about what's going on. But your kids have no idea. You haven't taught them about this real world. Like I keep saying it. Now, a lot of people might think my folks was like ghetto and hood or whatever, and they wasn't. And I know I might talk about it as if it's such, but they wasn't. But like when I tell you in my household, when I say the word white wasn't used, I mean the word white wasn't used. It was cracker. But what my parents, especially my daddy, what my parents was doing, letting us know from the jump that this is the America we live in. White folk do not like you. And you need, the quicker you understand that white supremacy is real, and they will chop your grandmother up to get to you. Try to understand. Like that scene in Rosewood when the Esther Roll played the mother figure, and they shot her, and they shot the old men. They kept killing all these old people, and man, these people don't care about us like that. And we need to understand that's why they calling the police on us. And what we need to do is stay our asses around black folks. Go around them when need be. And when we go around them, make sure we're ready for any and everything.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at, right there. Like, I'm not Peppermint Patty, Permit Patty, Barbecue Becky, and all these other cute names that we give these white folk that do shit to kill us.
Do nothing.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're in this age now where motherfuckers thinking that they are real activists because they make a Facebook post. I mean, we just like, when do we get to the point where we actually do something? And I'm not talking about running out and killing white folk. That's not what I'm saying at all. But I'm saying, when do we do things as a community to make ourselves safer, to take our future into our own hands, to take control of our own communities? Like, when do we begin to just like start focusing on fixing us, developing us, growing? You know what I'm saying? Growing. When do we start doing that instead of reacting to everything that they do to us? You know what I'm saying? I'm just
but,
like,
No, I'm with you though, because we have to realize that you can't combat racism with cracking jokes.
no.
And once we realize that, like, the thing now is, if a white person get caught doing something racist on camera, then you make them famous. Like, but haven't we learned from the killings? Like, if white America really wanted to, they'd just raise the money for those white people to get them back on their feet, just like they did for George Zimmerman and everybody else. They just raised the money for them.
And
so,
that's,
I mean, you could get them fired. You can get them fired from their job, but that doesn't end the racism. That just makes them even more enraged. That just stirs up the racism. I'm not saying don't get them fired either. But what I am saying is, if you believe that that's a solution, no, that's just one act that people can do, but that's not a solution to ending racism. That's not going to stop white people from calling the police on us. Now, is it fun and is it funny? Hell yeah, but still, that's not a real rebuttal.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. And look, we don't do anything to really, because what you said there was interesting and true. In a lot of these cases, especially with regards to police officers, when they do messed up stuff, people create fundraisers, and these people end up becoming millionaires. And then even if they do get fired, they get a job in another precinct not too far away. George Zimmerman's case, they raised millions of dollars for him. You know what I'm saying? And in the case of all those police officers, they raised money for them as well. So, you know, it's making these people famous and shaming them. And that's where we get into our narrow worldview of what's going on. Just because a bunch of black people are, quote unquote, blasting these people, you know, and we feel good because all of our friends are all like, fuck this and fuck that. There's a whole other side of the coin, and they're willing to spend money supporting each other. And we don't know whether or not, we do know that Permit Patty in particular had to step had to step down the CEO of her company. But we also don't know, like what type of donations she might have gotten or might have been raised for her to support her and her family. You just don't know what type of support she got. In my opinion, you can't fight racism by making it an individual battle with every individual that chooses to do something and catching it on. I'm not saying people shouldn't be publicly shamed because that's a part of creating the culture. I'm saying if that's all we're doing, then we ain't serious.
Well, I mean, think about it. Look at it like this. Those white people who will lose their jobs or get fired, lose businesses and things, they had no real power in the first place. Donald Trump has been fucking up left and right, and you can't do nothing to stop him. Real white power, real white supremacy. So these real white people, like the little small stuff, get taken care of. They are always casualties of war. But if you really think that that's going to end racism, that's going to end those people calling the police on us, that's not. It hasn't slowed anybody down. Like for the most part, a lot of those people are just shamed for the most part. It's not like across the board people are losing their jobs and losing their livelihoods across the board. That's not happening across the board. So most of the people are just being shamed. So while it's fun and it's funny, and I'm not saying don't do it, but if that's the only action we're going to take, like you said, we ain't serious.
But everything is so fucking superficial, man. Everything is so surface level. We get excited and emotionally amped up about superficial shit, and there's no deeper level activity followed behind it. And it's the same thing with not on the positive and the negative. And I know I sound bitter and shit right now to a lot of people listening, but we got to do something more substantial, something with more meaning to it if we want things to really change. If we keep doing what we're doing now with all of this internet warrior foolery and all of this other stuff, and everything's got to be a party, everything's got to be fun, everything's got to be a game. If we keep doing that stuff, things are not going to get better. They're not going to change. And you got to think, I think about it another way too. Because we're not doing anything to take power away from people like Permit Patty, all we're doing is hurting them as individuals, but not the structural or the systemic issues that we face. Permit Patty has children who are now going to grow up utterly infuriated and completely racist because of what they have experienced and because of the narrative that their mom is going to pour into them. But they're still white. So they still have white privilege. And guess what's going to happen? Guess what could potentially happen to these white kids who have white privilege and have a real deep-seated hate for black people that is now connected deeper than just some ancestral, like divine God ordinance type level, but on some real live, y'all fucked up my childhood and my livelihood type shit. You're creating a potential Dylan Roof situation. And again, I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen, but what I'm saying is if that's all you're doing, you're creating more problems for our kids down the line. You're creating bigger issues. And you can say that sounds cowardice all you want, but I'm just being real. If we're not going to do anything real, anything substantial, anything substantive, anything with real meaning behind it, then we'd be better off just not doing nothing at all. Because all you're going to do is poke the bear, but you're not willing to fight the fucking bear when it wake up, you might as well just fucking...
Well, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it is, like you said, we can't just crack jokes and, they got fired and just going on to the next thing, to the next day. Like, hey, we won. Like, nah, not necessarily. Got to be ready for any and everything. But once again, that goes to those who are not studied about white supremacy and how it works and why it works and all those things there. So when you're not studied in that, you're going to just do the preliminary things. And the preliminary things will get you fucked up in the long run. Because like you say, we think about it. We know damn well we're kicking the hornet's nest when we do these things. So be prepared for the hornets to sting. But that don't mean that the hornet's nest can't be destroyed. That don't mean that hornets can't be stepped on. But just understand that you're kicking the hornet's nest. Same thing we told Jamel here at ESPN.
Right.
We ain't saying don't say what you're just saying. Just understand that you're kicking the hornet's nest.
There will be repercussions.
So don't be afraid of white people or white supremacy or their reactions. Just be ready for them.
Well, you already afraid if all you're gonna do is crack jokes on the internet. Look, you're afraid. If you're not willing to go out and do something real to make a real difference, if you're not willing to teach your children the truth, to have difficult conversations about what's going on in the world, to prepare the next generation or prepare yourself for what's going on in the world, you're afraid. And Joe, we know this. We got people out here who won't even talk to their kids about having sex. You honestly think they having real race-based conversations with their children? Hell no.
Well,
we are afraid, and that's part of the problem.
The only consistent race conversation I hear black people having with their kids is the one we have to have with the police, and
and we don't even have that one right.
Well, right. That's what I'm getting into, is teaching their kids to be afraid of the police, which is straight bullshit. Like, being afraid of the police has not kept us alive all these years. Why the hell are you going to continue to do it? Nobody's telling you to make your damn kids into no damn warriors, but you can't teach them to be afraid of the police is useless, in my opinion. Like, because you can be as nice as you want to. We see it all the time. You can be as nice as you want to. If they want to fuck you up, they're going to fuck you up. So stop with all this. When they come out, you say yes, sir, no, sir. You ain't got to say no damn yes, sir, no, sir, no. If that cop feel like having a bad day, what you going to do then? You can yes, sir, no, sir, all you want to. All they got to do is feel like having a bad day, and that's your ass. So just be prepared. Understand the world is living, and be prepared for any and everything when you're dealing with white people and white supremacy, agents of white supremacy.
Already.
So let's move on. Let's talk about these economics. Pat, that's our transition. Hey, man. There you go. So, economics, recession, stocks crashing, stock market crashing, all these other bullshit. Black community. It's coming up. What you got?
Well, I brought this up, and this is because I like talking numbers. I like talking economics. And for those of you that don't know, this past Thursday on my show, Lessons from the Screen, forgot the name of my damn show for a minute. I did a show on the CBO's, the Congressional Budget Office report, long-term report, basically examining the United States, our debt, blah, blah, blah. Basically, we broke. Nothing new there. I will say this, and all the reason I bring this up is because I'm going to say this. A lot of it bothers me because it affects the way we strategize and plan. A lot of black people really seem to think that China owns most of the U.S. debt, and I really want to put that to bed because it irks me. They don't. The American people own most of the United States debt, and Japan owns a larger share of the debt than China does. Now, this impacts us because you have a lot of us looking economically to ways we can get involved with the future of the world by thinking about ways we can invest in the Chinese government, because we're assuming that China is at some point going to overtake America and just own all of America, which is false on a bunch of levels. But rather than get into a whole discussion on that, I just want to say China does not own the bulk of the U.S. debt, and if the United States economy collapsed, China's economy would collapse as well. So I want to throw that out there. I know that ain't here nor there, but so I told Joe that we needed to talk about what I feel is an incoming recession. I don't know if it's a depression or not. I'm not saying the economy is going to collapse, but what I am saying is that right now I think we're in the middle of a bubble, and I think that bubble is going to pop soon. Now, the reason I say this is because Well, there are a few things, and I'm going to try to narrow them down so that we're not all day talking about minutiae and figures and things that we got to spend the other half of the conversation explaining. But basically, if you look at the margin debt ratio right now in America, and the margin debt is basically when people borrow money to buy stocks, they're buying on the margin, and that's called margin purchases. So right now, the margin debt in America is at a rate that is twice what it was in 2008 before the crash of 2008. It's also higher than it was before the crash in the 80s and the 90s. So the 80s, I meant to say. So we're looking at a situation where the margin debt is high. We're looking at a situation where the debt to income ratio right now on the stock market on New York Stock Exchange is inverted, and every time that's been inverted over the last 70 years, we've had a recession here in this country. And we're also looking at the fact that we have a Republican president, and every Republican president we've had for the last 40 or 50 years at least has presided over some sort of a recession. So you mix all those things together. You also mix it in with the fact that roughly every 10, 15 years we have a recession in America, and the last recession was back in 2008. So it doesn't seem like it's been that long for those of us that have been through it.
Another one, though. To be honest, it's about time.
Yeah, we're due. And all of the indicators are showing that we're due. The debt is out of control. The stock market itself is no longer pricing stocks based on real value. It's pricing stocks based on speculative value. And in my opinion, anytime you get into, and again, it's just my opinion, I'm not an economist, but in my opinion, anytime you get into valuing companies based on speculative value versus real value, you're talking about a bubble. And that's how come you were able to see Bitcoins rise and fall the way they were, because they weren't being valued based on their real value. Their value is based on speculation, and speculation is always just somebody's perception of what's going on. So you just add all those things together, and in my opinion, it looks like we're due for a recession. Now, typically the way economics work, the larger the rise, the harder the fall. And we've been on an amazing ride the last 10 years. Stock market has been breaking records on a regular and consistent basis over the last few years. So has the debt. But we've just been on this tremendous rise where the stock market has been breaking records and eclipsing point values that at one point people were saying were impossible to break. And it's just smashing through walls and continuing to rise. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, if the idiom is true, the larger the rise, the harder the fall, we're in for a hell of a tumble. And again, this is going to be a recession. You're going to hear a lot of people talking about it in terms of the market correcting itself, because that's actually what it's doing. We're in a speculative market right now. At some point, the market is going to adjust itself so that the real values of these companies becomes their actual stock price. And when that happens, if the real value is lower than the speculative value, you're going to have a market correction. Anytime you have a market correction of more than 15 or 20%, they designate it as a recession, a major correction. And I think we're due for one of those. I think it's going to come soon. So that gets back to the question, what do we do about it?
Right, that's what I was just about to say. So tell us, in your opinion, what we do for individual and group economics.
I think in terms of group economics, it becomes important for us to, if you're an individual with heavy investments in the stock market, I think one of the things you need to do is decide at what point you're going to start